like the man in the mascot, but not the mascot. You're watching Swamp Things. Disclaimer. We know you can hear us during that part. Hello and welcome to Swamp Things. Thanks for joining us today. I am your host, Sam the Sam Tater Zettel. I am here with my co-host, Charles Spicy C. Fernandez.
The spicy one is me.
We're not sure what makes him spicy.
Here's the thing. Another use of the word spicy has to do with something that is kind of too hot to handle.
Oh,
that was spicy.
Saying that was spicy. That doesn't make you spicy, though.
No, I know, but I think I am kind of blunt at times certainly to a fault.
Oh, you're a lot of things to a fault. Let's be honest.
I am perhaps spicy to a fault. Hey,
you're also goodly to a fault.
Goodly and spicy.
The goodly deacon.
I don't think goodly. I don't know if I like that because it's more like mockery than it is like.
Oh, there goes the goodly deacon off to bless someone's home.
You became a leprechaun just now.
I know. I took some Irish. There was some Irish in that one for sure.
Your mom's family's Irish, right?
My mom's family's super Irish, if you know what I mean. Those of you who are Irish know what I mean.
I believe that Canadian and American Irish people really love their Irish identity, going from my wife's family. And yeah, I think back in Ireland, it's a very interesting country. We were there a couple of times over the years, not a whole lot, but we have been there a couple of times over the years. And it was so great. Both times we went, because Mary's from Ireland, we went to the part of Ireland that she came from. And yeah.
Okay, we have to tell the story about how.
What?
About Cargill.
Oh, that's a weird story.
You just about got to it, and we have to go. We're talking about it being Irish. I'll tell the story if you don't want to.
I'll just backstory. Hillbillies, as in that little movie clip with if you hear banjos run.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah.
So one of the things that's a little bit of a cliche about the hillbillies is that they're intermarried a little too closely.
That's the backstory for what I was going to say.
It is.
No, it's not.
Back where we're from, in our home parish, our parish history officially says within 3 or 4 generations, this refers to a bunch of Irish families that came over together after the potato famine, which is a very sad event in Irish history, tragic. But within 3 or 4 generations, they came together as a block. There was 20 families or so. They were all related. And we remember a family friend of Mary's, Mr. Phelan, who passed away a few years ago. He said...
Did you say Phelan?
Phelan.
Yeah, okay.
Phelan. He said that at a certain point back in the 30s, they began sending their daughters to the city so that they weren't intermarrying too much. Speaking of which...
The founder of Chepstow was Phelan. Mr.
There you
Phelan.
go.
Yeah.
You never know. Probably related. Okay, so Sam, what is this whole thing about how we're actually like hillbilly cousins?
Okay, so let's see here. All right, so the story is years ago, I think it was in 2008 or so. Would that be about right?
Sure.
So in 2008 or so, sometime around there, I was here at the church. Spicy C was also here at the church.
Fairly new here at the time.
Acting in his capacity as a goodly deacon. Goodly deacon. And the goodly deacon and I were speaking, and I, for some reason, I was talking about, my plans for the upcoming weeks and things like that, and I happened to mention that I was going to a family reunion in a little town called Cargill. Now, those of you from Bruce County, you know exactly where Cargill is because it's kind of right in the middle there. And if not, you should go. It's a great place. They've got the Greenock Swamp Tourist Office there.
Oh.
Did you know the Greenock Swamp? Hey, does the Osprey Swamp have a tourist office?
We have stories.
But you don't have a tourist office.
We don't have a tourist office.
The Greenock Swamp has a tourism office. But anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway. So I mentioned I was going to a family reunion at Greenock Swamp. Not Greenock Swamp. In
Cargill.
Cargill at the community
is-
center.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you said,
Wait a moment. I'm going to a family reunion for my wife's family to the Greenock Swamp.
and a few eyebrows were raised,
Like mine?
like mine. And turns out, well, let's be honest, the reason that my eyebrows were raised was not because you're brown. It's
What?
because
Okay. Fine.
it's because
Hey, you just turned
Cargill
red.
isn't big enough to have two family reunions
I
at
know.
once.
It had to be the same one.
Right, it had to be the same one. If it's the same weekend and it's in
Yeah.
Cargill, it has to be the same one. There's only
Yeah.
one for one. So we determined it was the same one.
Mm-hmm.
Mary's family, the Redmond side.
So her dad's grandmother
Mhm.
was an O'Hagan. But they
Yes.
dropped the O when they moved to Dundalk, and they just called it Hagan. There's actually a Hagan Street in Dundalk. And your mother's maiden name is?
Is O'Hagan as
There
well.
you go.
Yeah. So this particular reunion was for my great grandfather, Thomas O'Hagan.
Thomas O'Hagan's a bit of a character, like a literary character, and he wrote stuff.
Oh, that's
Is that not where
that's two generations down.
Oh, okay.
There was another Thomas O'Hagan 2 generations behind, which was the.
Mhm.
So that would have been this Thomas O'Hagan's grandson,
Right.
who was kind of famous and did some writing and
Yeah.
some public speaking. He was a professor, a couple other things. Pretty famous.
So we were
guy.
at the same family reunion, and it was
Yeah,
fun.
it was a lot of fun.
Start with Mass and Chepstow.
It's amazing who you meet at a family reunion that goes back that far, because you
Yeah.
know all these people and you've seen, well, not all of them, but you know a lot of them.
Mhm.
They're your friends and neighbors. Turns out you're related to them all. Anyway, it was cool.
So
We had to tell the backstory
We
because you
did.
got right there. Proud to be Irish. The goodly deacon is also proud to be married to an Irish woman.
Irish by marriage.
Irish by marriage. If
So-
you're Irish by marriage, you don't retain a lot of the habits that
You
Irish,
might though.
blood Irish people have.
I drink
Probably for your benefit.
generally drink Irish whiskey, although right now
Mm.
we have Scotch at home.
Oh, well,
I don't know.
who doesn't drink scotch?
There you go.
What
So-
good Irishman doesn't?
Hey,
I can't
this
do
is so
that.
exciting! I can't believe we got this far. This is our historic 5th episode.
5! Wow, what a milestone.
Cheekway, if I may.
What in
Italian
weddings?
on
In
you.
weddings, is there like a?
Probably. I'm
Is it
not
like
a woman.
sil-
so I
your
don't know.
silver
Sorry,
wedding?
I don't know that. Silver's 25, obviously.
Oh,
Yeah.
isn't it something dumb like wood? It's your
Yeah,
wood wedding or something
paper
like that? Paper
or like tin.
Yeah.
Give someone something made of paper and
Like
tin.
really, you should be celebrating the earlier ones, because isn't the divorce rate highest at like 2 years or something?
I think there are probably a few key points, sadly. Anyway.
Anyway, so it's our 5th anniversary.
Gosh. So if you laugh a
sad.
long time, it sounds stupid.
Are we gonna have a party? Are
No.
we gonna celebrate like 10 and 20 and 25? and all
No,
those? I think
no.
we should.
We're just lucky we're still here.
Anyway,
That's what I'd say.
We're going to inaugurate this day, this joyous occasion.
This joyous
our 5th
occasion.
episode
Probably need a deacon to have a
by
joyous
reading
occasion.
some of our feedback. We've been getting some
There you
feedback
go.
from people,
Yep.
some comments. And if you would like us to feature your comments and your feedback, send us a message. Go on Facebook, go on YouTube, anywhere
Where can
you listen to
this?
podcasts.
Where can you listen to this on podcast?
You can listen to any of your podcast
Oh.
providers.
All right.
Yeah, it's all over the place. It's on every one of them.
There you go.
And leave us a comment. We'll hopefully read it on an episode. So, which one should we do here? Got any ideas?
Start
here-
with the first one. Why not?
All right. It says the amazing phenomenon where the snowbanks get higher and closer to the power lines. This is from episode 1. The longer ago the winter event happened. I think what he means is, in his broken English.
Your brother Mark is an incredibly articulate person. So
I know, but he
no.
missed a word, and so what he says
Oh,
there
well,
doesn't make
it's
any
type-
sense.
It's not broken English. It's just typing.
All right. Well, anyway, it's broken English. What he means is the banks get higher and the power lines get lower every time you hear the story, which is like a fish story. It's true.
Yep.
One can only speculate that the reason they didn't have power lines in pioneer days was because the snowbanks simply wouldn't allow it. Good point.
That's a rational speculation. I think it's a
There's something to
a
that.
valid inference. A
valid
valid
inference.
inference from the available.
It's a valid
data.
inference,
So the goodly deacon.
said the goodly deacon.
Now I'm British.
Said the goodly deacon. No, you're still Irish. Okay.
Okay.
Nora writes, You got me laughing in the first 20 seconds. Hi, Sam and Charles. I rarely spend 45 minutes listening to anything, including your family.
What?
But
Okay.
but for some reason, I stuck it out with you two. Now, that was on episode 1, so she probably didn't stick it out for any more.
Who knows?
Anyway, whatever.
God bless her. All
This
right.
show, Swamp Things, this is about us. This show, Swamp Things, featuring my cousin Sam Zettel and Deacon Charles Fernandez, is my new favorite thing online.
So you know why this is very hillbilly already? Because
Why?
most of the comments are from your relatives.
I know. If you're a fan and you're not one of my relatives, message us.
Or if you hate what we're doing and think it's
Yeah.
really dumb,
It doesn't have to be good commentary. We'll make fun of you just the same.
and we don't mind if you make fun of us.
No.
Whatever. Okay. Hey, our friend Nikki. Most of you have probably heard me talk about my youth pastor, Sam Zettel, or the deacon from my church, Deacon Charles. Since apparently they weren't getting enough attention before, they decided to start a podcast. If you're curious about what they're like, feel free to give this video a watch. Video watch. Easy for me to say.
This video.
Yep.
No typos in that one. Thanks, Nick.
I know. It's very articulate and anyway.
As if apparently they weren't getting enough attention before. That's kind of a dig. Because both of us are kind of
Attention hogs?
attention seekers that way.
Attention hogs.
Especially Charles.
I don't know.
He's often stealing the attention from me.
You know who says that?
Who?
Remember you said about being a cynical person? If someone
Oh.
says they're not cynical, it's because they're cynical.
I don't seek attention from anybody. Is something someone who seeks attention would say.
Yeah. Sorry.
I
I love attention.
You could say that about a lot of things. I'm not a youth pastor, FYI. I know she's just saying that for people that don't understand any.
For our Christian brothers and
Our
sisters.
Christian brethren.
And others.
Brethren.
And otherin.
And otherin. Christian
Hey,
brethren and otherin.
Okay, but they've been talking about this for years and years, and honestly, if this is the result of the pandemic, then it was all worth it times 10. Greg, thanks, Greg.
Thank you,
We
Greg.
got to know Greg over the last few years. He's a really good guy, and
I'm not related to Greg or Nikki.
You don't know that because
I don't know that.
You actually, well, we're probably not related to Nikki.
Greg's one of the blacks, though.
Yeah,
So
we're related to a
I'm
lot
not
of
related
people.
to the blacks.
You're sure? Because we might be. Who knows?
I'm kidding.
All right.
I was hoping to mislead people that don't know that black is his last name,
Family name.
family name. It just
There you go.
sounded funny.
They're Scottish. It's some weird thing. We should get him to talk about. Come on and talk about his name. It's some weird thing where in Scottish the word that sounds like white.
We should sit
black,
with Greg
black,
and drink scotch while we're talking to him.
or have a choice or competition between Scotch and Irish whiskey.
We should have a shot every time we use one of our real names.
I don't do that. I don't drink like that.
That'd be fun. Okay.
Could be fun though.
If you agree Bruce County rocks and Coors Light is crap, you will like this inaugural podcast by Sam Zettel and Spicy C. Janelle, also one of my relatives.
What I like about that comment is, she called me Spicy C. It's touching to my heart.
Oh, do you know what I like about it? Is that
What?
she lives downtown Toronto.
There you go.
Right in the middle. But she has such a love for Bruce County. Like she just loves,
Yeah.
she loves her
That's
heritage
great.
up here. And they come up every year for Fun Fest in Chepstow. And yeah,
Hey,
she's a Bruce County girl at heart.
let's
Appreciate
leave the
that.
next one for our future episode,
Okay.
because it's about the Raptors update. So we'll leave that one. That's a little viewer feedback.
All right. Well, I guess then after that, it is time for weird stuff you see in Grey Bruce. All right. And today in Weird Stuff You See in Grey Bruce, we come to you from an undisclosed location. And you'll probably know why once I show you the picture.
What is that, Sam? What the heck?
Oh,
That's
this is very
really
obvious
interesting.
what this is. Everybody who knows what a silo is knows what this
Well,
is.
okay, yeah.
This, okay, to put it simply, this is the embodiment of my dreams. All my
That is the embodiment of your
all my hopes and
dreams?
dreams are wrapped up in this one picture. You could summarize them in this one picture,
Wow.
which is to have a fort on top of a silo.
Okay, well, that's pretty good. I like it.
Every farm kid has wanted this.
Yes.
Well, maybe it's just me. I don't know. But, so what somebody did here was they took an old silo, which often aren't in use.
Mhm.
They're very strong. They used to now silos now are built in pieces and then put together.
Mhm.
But they used to these poured silos used to be really common, where
Mhm.
they're actually poured concrete,
Hmm.
full of rebar and everything. So they're very strong. They're not going anywhere, and they're not really useful unless you have you're storing grain in them. And even so, the grain, I feel like there's other better ways of storing grain.
Right.
I think the metal ones are better, and
Mm-hmm.
these ones kind of they're a bit porous, so they let a bit of moisture in and stuff. So we always had problems with rot in it and everything. Anyway, this guy took this to the next level.
Literally to the next level.
Literally.
By the way, can we pause for a second there?
Okay.
Because I'm one of the things that really bugs me, and you're doing a great pause, by the way, is how people use the word literally, but they don't mean literally. Literally means it actually happened. It doesn't mean, wow, that was a really big deal. Unpause.
Oh, what happened?
Literally, all of a sudden you paused, which you
Yeah.
literally did.
This guy literally built a house on top of his
That's true. That's literal.
silo. Isn't that
That's what
a
literal
good use of
actually
literal?
means. Yeah, that was a correct
Did I use the
thing.
word literally?
Yes, you did.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
What? Okay.
The goodly
So-
deacon is well versed in literature in the English language.
You're a leprechaun again.
You speak literature. I mean English.
What?
You speak English.
Okay.
We don't speak English around here. We speak Chepstonese.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I think I could understand it.
In Chepstow, when we build our tree houses on top of our silo, we build them good, strong. We put windows in them. It has a front door. Can you notice that
Oh,
part?
jeez. Wait, I do think it's boarded over.
Yes,
And a couple of,
yes.
I don't know what
It
they are,
clearly
like
has.
2x12s or something nailed across the front. I'm just estimating the height by the height of the door.
It clearly has a door
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah. Why
Unbelievable.
bother? I guess they were too lazy to do anything else. Just
Wow.
nail on some.
So, funny thing, I was talking to my friend Matt about this.
He's a
Matt,
carpenter.
He's
builder.
a carpenter,
Yeah,
builder.
Yeah.
And I don't know how we got on this topic, but we mentioned this, that I had seen a picture of somebody that had it looks like they put a building up there. They must use a crane or something. But because they wouldn't put a door on it if they were building it up there.
Sure.
They probably just took a cabin and went,
Yep.
stuck it on top. But how cool would it be to like cover the top with like some kind of like pond liner or something, make it waterproof, and then build a deck out there?
Wow.
Very, very cool. You could go up and like look at the stars or just sit there.
Sure.
There'd be no bugs. It'd be up above.
It's true. I never thought about that. No bugs.
It'd be beautiful up there. So we're seriously thinking of doing it, but don't tell my family because it depends on
Them.
other people.
Yeah. What would you do if you had?
I don't know.
What are you going to call it? A tree house? Silo house?
Well, see, I want to build a deck on the top,
Yeah.
and then layer by layer actually build more floors under it,
Mm.
because I think you could get 2 more floors and then like kind of a basement
Yeah.
underneath.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, this is going to sound totally insane. Bear with me.
That's why we're here.
You could rent it out.
People would love that.
Airbnb, there are some weird dwellings on there that rent all the time. Like people
Yeah.
love tree houses and things. What if we said it was a silo house? Ours even has an opening at the side, all the way up. So those could be windows. You wouldn't have to cut new windows. It'd be
Right.
natural light in and that. And be your fire exit too and that. So
You could call it camping, because I think the regulations would be different if people were camping.
yeah. Anyway, I just think it'd be an amazing little. You'd have one level is kind of like the kitchen.
Yeah.
One level is like the living space, it'd be like a bedroom / living space.
You know what this reminds me of? The physical setup there is a lighthouse. You
Yeah.
ever been in a lighthouse?
Yes,
I have when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I lived near the ocean.
Yeah, and you'd need some kind of staircase that kind of went either in a
Yeah, yeah.
spiral or like zigzag.
Ladders or something.
I wouldn't want ladders. I would need stairs.
That's true.
Circular staircases are very difficult to build. Ironically, Matt, my friend, built those at one time for a living. It was his job.
Building circular
Building
staircases.
round, like curved staircases.
We have a neighbor. He happens to be Scottish, and he was a welder. He actually used to work as a contractor for Bruce Power,
Mm-hmm.
welding boilers and stuff. Anyway, he welded like a cast iron staircase in their home, in the family home,
Wow.
to go
That'd be
from the
fun.
ground floor up to it was like the attic that they converted to their bedroom suite.
You didn't weld a cast iron staircase.
That doesn't make any sense, does it? So it must have been steel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Painted black. Maybe that's why I
Really
thought
weld.
cast
I think
iron.
you can really weld iron. Not
It would just
raw.
melt.
No, I think it just doesn't bond.
Oh. Okay. So you got your treehouse.
I got my treehouse. I think it's a great idea.
Your dream
Tell us
house
what
is
you
a
think.
tree house. All your dreams and hopes and wishes, you said, are in that, basically embodied
I
right
spent,
there.
honestly,
Literally.
I spent my childhood trying to find somewhere high to climb.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird. I hate heights.
I would climb trees. I would
Yeah,
climb
yeah.
on the silo.
Hmm.
If Dad left a ladder up somewhere, I'd climb it. I used to love going up in the hay mound, looking out the window at the top of the barn, and
Yeah.
I was always looking for a place that was high to look out and get a view. And this would be like a place where the
Interesting.
only purpose is to go up there and sit and enjoy and look at the view.
You could have a telescope.
Yes.
I believe Bruce County is famous for its dark night skies.
Hmm. Well, the Bruce Peninsula, not Bruce County. Southern Bruce County's not.
Even southern Bruce County, I've heard of people like around Ayton, they have these like night sky viewing things.
I think Lion's Head is like the Ontario, like a place where they go. There's like a big festival in
yeah.
Wyerton or
Lion's
Lion's
Head.
Head every year,
Hmm.
where they all go.
We should find out more about that because
That'd be a fun conversation.
Yep.
Could have a conversation with the organizer. It'd be
Sure.
great. All right, everybody, it is time for this week's episode. Coming back to you after a few weeks. Inspect your gadget.
Do. Inspect your gadget.
All right, on Inspect Your Gadget today, it's a gadget that none of us have.
Or could have.
Well, or could
Who
have.
knows?
And it's something we just both think is really cool, and we wanted to talk about.
We don't know a
today.
lot about this, but take a look.
I probably know more about it than you.
Yeah, for sure. I can see that.
What it is, this is a I think, a very famous picture.
I've never seen it before, but yeah. it's
You've
pretty
never
cool.
seen it?
No.
Oh, okay. If you're into Nikola Tesla, which I am, and you think he's cool, and you've seen this picture before, the reason this is a cool picture is because this is Nikola Tesla in his lab. I'm not sure which lab. It was 1901, so it was probably in New York, because he did move to Colorado to do testing out near Colorado Springs, I believe. What he was testing was a way to transmit electricity wirelessly
Right.
through the ground or through the air.
Right.
And so this is him. You can see a bunch of coils of different sizes around the perimeter of the room, and then in the center would be his generator, his helical coil, which generates an enormous voltage. Like it keeps stepping it up, and then you have lightning bursting out and connecting to these
Yeah.
to the other side of the room. And the best part about the picture to me is that he's just sitting there in the corner in the middle of the room reading or working on
Taking
some
notes or
documents,
something.
taking notes, something like that. Like he's got his leg crossed, like it's as calm as ever,
Yeah.
And anybody who's had any experience with electrical stuff, you know that arcs are very loud.
That's
very,
true.
very, very loud. Like they make a really loud noise.
Mm-hmm.
So either he had come up with a way to make them quieter, or he just was a beast.
Or he has
and
earplugs.
Maybe he has earplugs in. I don't know.
The other thing I was thinking about is, first of all, we didn't talk about, which is, this is like a death ray. Was this like a death ray?
This wasn't his death ray, but the death ray was based on this.
Oh. What was the idea of the death ray?
So Tesla had a vision of stopping war. It's pretty good
Yeah.
vision. Lots of people want to end war. So he envisioned towers that have a device in them stationed at intervals along a country's borders to basically defend it. So, and it got known as the death ray. And I think that was kind of the beginning of the end for him, because he tried to market it to the military. They kind of just laughed at him. So then he ended up trying to go to a different country. This was during the Cold War, just shortly after the Second World War. And of course, the U.S. government didn't think very kindly of him trying to market a death ray to their enemies, or even neutral parties.
Yeah.
They were afraid that if he was onto something, it would be patented by another, or made used by another country. So, that's when the FBI famously raided his lab, took everything, all of his notes, all of his experiments and everything. They just completely gutted it.
Right.
And it was classified, though those documents were all classified until, I believe, 2014. I could be wrong on the year, but it was just a few years ago.
Oh,
they
okay.
declassified all of his information. Now people
Wow.
can go and read it. They can read all his patents that never made it to patent and that kind of thing. So very fascinating stuff. Tesla's a very cool guy.
Was he from what was called then Czechoslovakia?
I think so. Mm-hmm.
It became Czechoslovakia after the First World War. Before that, it was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. My one sister-in-law is from Czechoslovakia. She was born when it was still Czechoslovakia. Before it split up, now it's two different countries, Czech or Czechia and Slovakia.
Yeah. Oh, it's two countries now. Yeah. Split up. Yeah. Yep. And he loved his homeland, but he was also, I think, seemed to be a pretty faithful American as well.
Okay.
Seemed to be pretty devoted.
Don't know much about him. There's a
Yeah,
Nikola Tesla Boulevard.
he was a mysterious guy. He
Yeah.
kept to himself. He didn't show up in public very often. He didn't have much of, and I think was in many ways feared more than
Sure.
appreciated
He
for
had
his
all these weird
genius.
powers, I guess.
Lots of geniuses are like that. They so this is why I'm so well rounded, such a nice guy, is because I'm not a genius.
This is why I'm pretending to be well-rounded. I'm literally
just-
well-rounded, but not
it's-
necessarily actually well-rounded.
It does seem though that when people have like a real gift for something, like
I
whether it
know.
be engineering, like Tesla, or medicine, science, math, whatever it is, that there's sort of a trade-off in some ways.
Sure.
Sometimes
He
Just
had a
seems-
hard personal life, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure. And
Yeah.
but just never really connected, never got married, didn't really have a lot of friends.
Pretty isolated.
Died kind of alone, disgraced.
And Edison kind
suspicion.
of took advantage of him.
Edison took advantage of him when he first came to America. He started out on contract with Edison, digging ditches for Edison's electrical cables. Which, if you know anything about electricity, Edison's idea was direct current, DC, and it required a very thick cable, sometimes like a foot thick or wider, of
Wow.
copper,
I didn't know that.
to transmit the electricity, even a short distance.
Right.
So for Edison's program to work, he would have needed a power plant on every block. Every city block needed its own power plant. One of the inventions accredited to Tesla is alternating current, which is the entire world is covered with alternating current.
Sure.
The reason being that you can transmit the electricity very long distances by stepping up the voltage with very little loss. So it revolutionized the whole globe. He also invented the AC motor. He invented the AC generator, which is they first implemented in Niagara Falls
Right.
in 1890.
That's why there's a Nikola Tesla Boulevard down there.
Yeah.
I listen to the traffic reports on the radio,
Yeah.
and they talk about Nikola Tesla
Uh,
Boulevard.
he, as a test of the electricity, there was I think the World Expo in Chicago
Right.
was powered by electricity from Niagara Falls in 1899.
Wow.
Don't quote me on that. I think it was that year, and it was lit up with electric lighting. It was the first major event that was lit with electric lighting, and it came all the way from Niagara Falls, which is Chicago and Niagara Falls are
Miles away.
a fair distance away.
Yeah.
That would not have been possible under Edison's technology. So, but yeah, Edison kind of kept them like I said, he was digging trenches at the start.
Right.
I think
And-
stole a bunch of stuff for him allegedly.
Hey, I'm going to make a guess that someone watching this might know a lot about Tesla.
Yeah.
So if you know more about Tesla, let us know.
Oh, I would love to pick your brains
Yeah.
because I just know a little bit. I've only read a couple things about him, a couple books, but I'd love to hear from you if you're a Tesla fan. I know a lot of people. I'm part of a Facebook group that's a group
Tesla?
for Tesla fans. There's a lot of Tesla fans out there. A lot of people think he was really onto something with a lot of his different patents, but it never got turned into anything because of
Right.
the level. He was just so far ahead of his time. They didn't have the technology to do or produce what he wanted to at the time.
Right.
So
Wow.
it's
Tesla's
amazing.
death ray.
His death ray, and that was Inspect Your Gadget.
Thanks, Sam. Okily dokily.
Okay,
We're doing it.
I don't know. What are we doing now? Oh. All right, so our next segment is actually a pre-recorded segment when we were talking about 3 myths that people often hold about the Catholic Church. And in our line of work, we hear a lot of things about the Catholic Church from people, some good, some bad. So there are 3 myths in particular that we cover in these 3 segments. Myth number 1 is, are Catholics superstitious? So we hope you enjoy this segment.
Talk to you soon.
Okay, so the 3 myths are, number 1,
Catholics are superstitious. We just believe stuff because we're told to.
Catholics are superstitious. You want to
We
tackle
like-
that one
like a-
first?
First of all, we do believe a lot of weird stuff.
Yeah.
One particular Catholic thing, I'm thinking about a story from our friend Nicole. She was at a big Catholic event for young adults in Ottawa a few years back, and they had the somewhat miraculously preserved arm of a guy who died in the 1500s. When we revere as a saint, meaning chosen by God for a special mission and fulfill that mission mysteriously through God's help on earth, Francis Xavier. And you know why he matters so much to me? Because he baptized my ancestors, where I'm from, my family's from originally.
Right. He was a missionary to Goa.
Yeah. So there was they had this
Yeah.
arm, and it was brought there not so people could worship it, but you might kind of wonder what the heck. But anyway, interestingly, Nikki was there with a friend of hers who's not really into the Catholic thing, but he went along with her because Nikki's her friend, and she was really intrigued by the fact that there's this arm of this man 500 years ago, and all these young adults from around Canada are gathered in Ottawa and are saying, "Wow, that's really important. That is somehow a sign or manifestation of God's power and glory." So actually, are we not superstitious, Sam?
What I wanted to say about superstitious is I heard a really helpful definition of superstitious
Good for you.
a while ago. And I often bring this up when people are talking about whether a certain thing is superstition or whether it's belongs in faith, whether it's part of faith.
Yeah.
And that the definition from memory, this is what I'm saying is something is superstitious when it pretends to give you control over whatever, over nature, over your life, over the future.
Right.
Then it becomes something superstitious.
That's a great
So
definition.
it's different than a religious practice in that a valid religious practice in that the valid religious practice for Catholics and for Christians is actually not about getting control. It's actually about giving up control. It's about surrendering control. So if it's surrendering control to God and placing our trust and our faith in Him, then it's licit. Then it's okay.
Yeah.
It's not a superstitious act.
Yeah.
And therefore, in our eyes, not wrong. If
Right.
it's something that gives us the power and gives us command over nature, over that thing, then it becomes something that actually draws us away from God and is actually in the wrong direction from our perspective. I always found that really helpful, just when you're thinking about things like, because you will have, for people think this about the church for good reason. There are superstitious people in the church who believe that they have some kind of power because of something they're wearing. Or like I noticed, for instance, here, I'm going to put you back up here. I noticed you're wearing a nice big cross on your neck there.
Yes.
And
It's a crucifix.
It's a crucifix.
Yeah,
It has the
yeah.
crucifix is a cross with the corpus, so the body of Jesus on it. And there are Catholics,
Yep.
well-meaning people
Yep.
who believe that by wearing things,
Yep.
they somehow get some kind of control. So, for instance, they might think, well, by wearing this, I now have control, or I have
Power.
over, say,
Yep.
demons, or I have power over evil, or I have power over the future, or over
Power over health or sickness.
over my health, things like that.
Yeah.
And really, what it comes down to is the power. Am I giving the power to me? If
Yep.
so, it's superstition. Am I giving the power to God? Then it's actually something good. If something that leads us to giving ourselves over to surrender.
Right. So
That's
that arm of
something
that
good.
saint, Francis Xavier, the fact that there are people gathered, young adults from around the country, to worship Jesus and to worship God and to come together to build up their faith, why is that arm there? It's not so that they can, it's not like a good luck charm. It's not. But
Exactly.
this would be superstitious, just based on what you said. Like, I'm not going to be like get more luck in life if I touch the arm or whatever container it's held in or something. But it's a reminder that God has worked through this one physical person. I mean, for Christians, for all Christians, faith is not just spiritual. It's a spiritual in the material. That's who Jesus is. God manifests himself in physical form, and he continues to do that in ways that he chooses. Anyway, but there's another side to this, which is actually what I was thinking of, which is like, we believe all kinds of weird stuff about God, which you could genuinely call faith, but why is that not superstition? You know, that whole idea that, I think it was Richard Dawkins that said, oh, yeah, let me just tell you about this thing called the flying spaghetti monster. You could believe in that if you want to. What's the difference? So I think this, for me, is about saying that in particular in the Catholic community, I think this is true for all Christians who are thoughtful, we take science and reason very seriously. In fact, I think in our kind of quote-unquote postmodern times, the Catholic faith, and I think Christianity as a whole, is like really big on science and reason and defending truth, facts, reality. It's like we're not here to say God didn't tell us, hey, check your minds at the door when you come into church. No, the opposite. It's like some of the greatest minds in history, like the guy who's most famous now is probably, I'm just thinking of a Christian scientist, a scientist who's a Christian, I mean, is Francis Collins.
Exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, like as an example. And he's not a perfect person. I don't believe everything he believes because he's got certain particular beliefs about moral issues and stuff. That's up to him. But he's definitely a Christian. And he was the founder of the Human Genome Project. And I think currently he's the director of the National Institutes for Health in the U.S. So pretty smart guy and definitely a scientist. And through that, his work as a scientist in medicine-related fields or health-related fields, he met a woman who led him to faith in Christ. Okay, just an example. Lots of people are scientists, are not believers, or believers in different religions or traditions, but certainly a fair chunk of scientists are Christians. That should tell us something. That means you don't have to check your mind at the door to be a Christian, to have faith, genuine faith, not superstition. Yeah. So the other thing I'd say is, you could think about this, I would say, philosophically. Okay, so a little philosophical point. If it's okay, I can throw it in. It's okay.
Fine with me.
In order to reason with your mind, you have to make an act of faith. Everybody who thinks, including scientists, make an act of faith. The supreme act of faith that scientists make as scientists is that the universe, the material, physical universe, can be understood by the human mind. Because there's no causal reason for that in anything we know about evolution. There's no reason that evolution should produce creatures that can understand the universe. And there's no way we can verify by stepping outside of the universe whether what our minds produce, that is science, actually lines up with what the universe is. But the whole idea of science is, yeah, the universe is intelligible. That's an act of faith. We can understand it. We can use our minds to explore it. That's nothing to do with faith in God per se, but it's an act of faith that goes beyond what science itself does. Anyway, the point is, we're all people of faith in different ways. We trust other people. We trust what science says to us, even if we're not scientists. And we've got to sort all that stuff out using our minds.
Right. And what a conversation we have had in the past, and we can have again on this podcast at some point, is order.
Yeah.
Right. How if we can tell something is ordered, that should tell us something.
Sure.
Right. Why is this ordered?
Yeah.
Why do we always expect that this is going to behave the same way,
yeah,
according to science, according to physics?
Sure.
Well, an order is actually the sign of an orderer or a guide or a designer,
yep,
more than we think. So, and the fact that the universe has order, like you said, in science, we take it for granted. It's not something you can take for granted.
Science can't be pure skepticism, or you would never consider an experiment valid, because the next time you ran the same experiment, everything could be completely different. All the constants you were looking for, what are the constants that define gravity or whatever? I don't really know a lot about science. Well, they could have changed by next week, couldn't they? No. Actually, science is based on order. Anyway.
I believe that's Aquinas' one of his arguments. It's maybe the one about chaos, or
okay.
Maybe it wasn't Aquinas. Don't quote me, but anyway.
Yeah.
That would be a fun one to talk about. Order.
Sure. So that's the first one.
That's the first one. I want to say one more thing about superstition.
Yes.
The arm is weird.
Yes.
It's weird that there's an arm that hasn't decayed to belong to a saint.
Yep.
We get that, and I find it weird too. Also kind of cool. I think it's neat. I'd like to see it, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're in dangerous territory if you're going back to something over and over again because you think it's giving you a result.
Right.
So if, for instance, with that arm, if someone was following that around and camping outside the door and saying, I am going to keep visiting this arm because every time I do, my life works out for me, or I feel better, or my cancer is staved off, or whatever, I think at that point you're putting faith in the arm. You're putting faith in your act of going and being there with the arm, more so than
faith in God.
Your faith in God, and you're not surrendering to God in that way. So,
and that's why some other Christians, not Catholic Christians, worry legitimately that sometimes that's what happens in the Catholic Church. And I think that if anything we do gives more glory to God and attributes to Him the power, then as fellow Christians we can say, yeah, that's what we all believe. Mm-hmm. And I know other Christians also believe in miracles taking place and stuff, which is pretty amazing.
That's right.
Yep. And I think the other thing you can do is check people out based on practical results. I do that all the time. does this seem like a sane, stable person who's like genuinely trying to do good in the world? I remember a friend of ours, because my wife and I help run our local food bank in the community. Catholic background, but not really practicing, and not really sure what he thinks or believes right now, but interested and open-minded. He said, I noticed that the people helping with the food bank happen to be wearing crosses. And that's true. We actually don't have a Christian food bank in town, but it happens that many of the people who help out are Christians, because that's part of what their faith says to do. That's just a sign, not that we're better than anyone, but like, okay, this is what part of being in this community is about. It's about serving people. So if you see people serving other people, and that could be for Muslims or non-believers or whatever, that makes it what they're doing credible. That makes it something you could believe and say, okay, there's something there that is good. Anyway.
It's like it was paused again.
Sure. I figured that out eventually.
All right. It is time for a Raptors update.
More about the Raptors!
Raptors update, Raptors update, Raptors update, Raptors update, Raptors update, Raptors update.
Okay,
Raptors update.
Raptors update. Here's the thing. I became a big basketball fan. Never a big basketball player. I'm not that big, actually, for basketball. Back in '85. Remember when we sound we
Look,
run
I
like
can touch
rails?
the cross. You can touch the cross.
There
right
you go, Sam. That's a little visual effect. You're not literally touching the cross, but you
Squishing
are.
Jesus.
Don't squish Jesus. Don't do that. Speaking of superstitious, also has nothing to do with the Raptors. At least not that I can. Well, never mind. Okay, '85. Became a huge basketball fan. The Raptors didn't exist until '95. It was amazing. The city near which I live, all of a sudden had a basketball team. That was so amazing. So I went to the Raptors team. And what I found, not right away, but over time, is there's this whole thing where apparently basketball is not enough fun for people to go to basketball games or even watch it on TV. So you've got to pump all this really loud, dumb entertainment into the stadium, into the arena where you're watching. Plus, if you watch on TV, you get all these like goofy things going on that have nothing to do with basketball. So the name Raptors itself, when I first heard it, I thought, that's great. The Raptors. That's amazing. We're going to have like a bird of prey as our logo. But no, Jurassic Park, the first one, had just come out. So instead we got the Raptors mascot. And you know what really bugs me? I don't actually hate the person. It's a job. It's a living. Hopefully the guy has fun doing it. Hopefully he makes some money. Hopefully, things are good for him. The actual man in the suit or person in the suit, I don't know who's in there. Hopefully it's good for you. But what is he holding, Sam? Can you guess what that is? Any ideas?
The gold thing?
Yeah.
Well, it's a trophy.
They won the championship in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So you got the mascot holding the championship trophy. What the heck? You don't play basketball. You're a mascot. Who cares? Go away. And that is why I hate the Raptors mascot. Because I actually love basketball. And this has nothing to do with basketball. It's just like making noise and merchandising and...
I think you're being a little hard on the guy.
The guy I respect. He's making a living. He's providing fun for people. But the mascot. Yeah,
You say
completely
that.
different
Do you
thing.
respect him, really?
I do.
Do you think he respects himself?
Well, I hope so.
Do you think he tells people he's the Raptors mascot?
That's a good question. Maybe it's like a secret. Maybe it's like a big secret who the actual Raptors mascot is.
Maybe he lies to his family and tells them he's an accountant or something.
Maybe he's actually another famous person who's just doing this as a sideline. Maybe
Yeah.
he's like Drake.
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan would not be the Raptors mascot.
It'd be funny though.
You said the only basketball reference.
Yeah, he's the only basketball player I can name.
Okay. Well, you could now name Spicy P
I can now name
as a
Spicy
nickname. So basketball itself, we'll talk more about another time. But whatever it's worth, if it's worth anything, has nothing to do with the guy dressed up as Barney the dinosaur or some kind of like Jurassic Park related marketing opportunity where the mascot is holding the championship trophy that he has nothing to do with. I'm finished.
He's probably like, hey guys, throw me the trophy. I just want to take a selfie. That's not a selfie, but I just want to.
What's that language? Those different
I
languages.
just want the photo creds.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is
I didn't even look at the background before.
Bop?
Nord.
Utara?
I feel like that's
Kilaga?
Sanskrit.
Ariwa?
Yeah.
Weird. What's going on there?
Looks like Cyrillic and Sanskrit.
Why? Does the Raptors have to do with any of that stuff?
Well, they're marketing to different communities.
No.
Yeah.
But this was his Twitter. This is his Twitter profile.
That's his Twitter profile?
Yeah, this is his
Oh.
Twitter profile picture. The Raptors, mascot has a Twitter profile. Who
You
knew?
did not win the championship, Raptors mascot. I'm sorry to say that to you, but it's true.
He's not sorry. He's lying.
Well, I feel sad. Someone could be...
He just said a minute ago that he hates you.
Not you,
You
but
know,
the character you play.
Raptors mascot, I'm going to throw you a... What's the phrase?
Throw you a bone?
No.
Oh, throw you a lifeline?
Offer you a... It's like a leaf or a...
A leaf? You're thinking of the hockey team.
No.
The Maple Leafs.
No.
Maple Leaves?
An olive branch.
Olive branch. That's very biblical.
I'm gonna offer you an olive branch, Raptors mascot. If you're watching this show...
Or anyone who cares for you.
No, if you're watching this show,
Okay.
we don't hate you. We would like to hear your story and how you ended up becoming the mascot for the Raptors. So, if you're watching, give us a shout. We'll have you on the show to talk to you about how this all happened.
Sadly for us, my friend, the Sam Tater, the Raptors mascot is a lot bigger in media than we are.
I know, but you never know. You gotta think big. You gotta have dreams.
You gotta have dreams.
Maybe one of our viewers knows the person that's in the mascot
That's
and
true.
could like tag him or something.
Okay, I know a guy.
We want you on our show. Give us a call.
I know. Wait a minute. I got a little angle. My godson and nephew knows a guy whose uncle
Who
is
knows a
in
guy?
management for the Raptors.
Whose uncle knows the Raptors.
Probably, maybe he's a Raptors mascot. For all I know, I don't know.
I know a guy who was plumber, fixed the drain
I do.
of the guy that owns the tractor
here's
next
one
door.
for you. Remember that first episode? We had the Analog Life thing. It was the Rush album. I was holding it up like that. It was about that big. So the guy who did the plumbing for the previous place where he lived did the plumbing for Neil Peart, who just died a few months ago. I believe it was gold-plated fixtures for Neil Peart from the Rush show.
Gold-plated fixtures.
Gold-plated fixtures.
Wow, that'd be tacky.
Okay. Well, he was wearing a kimono with a picture in the photograph that they had with the album back in the 70s there, 2112. So, sure. It could be a little tacky.
This reminds me of a song by Weird Al about being famous, even though you're not famous.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You just embodied that song.
I'm
Knowing a
famous,
guy
not
who
famous?
knows a guy
Oh, right.
who knows a guy who knows Bruce Willis.
Sure.
That doesn't make you famous.
No.
It's
But-
called Lame Claim to Fame.
Lame claim to fame.
Lame claim to fame.
I think my whole life
I
is
got
based
a
on-
lame claim to fame. Really, really lame. Lame claim to fame.
He's got a good spoof of a Jurassic Park song, Weird Al,
Yes.
which would go with
You
our
wanna-
friend in the suit here. That was a lot about the Raptors mascot for you, our poor listeners. And next time, we'll perhaps explain why we even care.
Yep.
Thank you.
Well, thanks everybody for watching this episode of Swamp Things. We hope that you'll come back, and we hope that you'll leave us your comments. Email us at swampthingspodcast@gmail.com. Until next time, Sam the Sam Tater and Spicy C saying goodbye.
Goodbye.
God bless. The goodly deacon sends you his best wishes and his blessings.
He's a leprechaun.
And he's a leprechaun.
I don't know.
Signing off, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for watching.